Hello, welcome back. It's been a bit of a delay in getting this video out. It's been a lot going on, but here we are back again. This time I'm like, I've been watching Prime Time, and recently I saw a lot of comments and videos all about Cursor, all about AI development, all this stuff. That's pretty interesting. That's kind of like, I think it's reached its limit. I don't see much more from that hasn't already been done. I've done a lot of work in that space, and I don't see it evolving anywhere near as fast or being anywhere near as useful. I've seen a lot more of the negative news coming out about the sycophancy of Chat GPT, stuff like that. But in terms of tech, you know, even back maybe say a couple of years ago, I think the biggest innovation for me personally was the the arrival of Apple Silicon. I think what Apple Silicon did, and a lot of I guess, the cameras that Sony released and DJI, they democratized content creation and film. So that was a really huge leap. You could get a MacBook M4. You could then make a video. You have pretty good quality control. You can use this stuff called slog3, which makes a log profile. You can do like LUTs, and everybody could start putting together videos and content that looks semi-professional, colored semi-professional, and it wouldn't take much effort or cost. I invested in the Nikon ecosystem, and I think I've kind of like left it at where I am now, which is a Z6 III for video, Z8, which is this, and the Z7 II for photography and time-lapse. So the technology is iterative, right? So we have these products, these tech products that are coming out. We've got cameras, we've got audio-visual equipment, we've got lights, we've got, stuff that's like IoT, a lot of this stuff that's happening. We've got a lot of tech that's kind of incremental. AI was a big thing. There's a lot of AI chips, and kind of like that's like a continuation of the ASIC stuff we did for Bitcoin, right? So you had Bitcoin, you had all of this ASICs, which were like specialized, chip hardware that would accelerate calculations that would make it sort of easier to, I guess, mine for certain cryptocurrency. And I guess that market is kind of like saturated. Again, iterative, right? So what next? What what are we working towards, right? So one of the things that surprises me, working in as a mobile app developer, IoT developer, and also web developer, is that I haven't seen an improvement in the tech that I use at all for the last 10 years. And I've said this before, and I keep thinking, I'm like, maybe I am just a little too narrow vision, tech, code. People are using certain IDEs, they're promoting certain IDEs, they're writing code for certain things. You got low-level code, you got mid-range software applications, then you got high-level software applications, and you got like neural networks and data collection, all this kind of stuff. And interacting with, I guess, these bots, people, and the people selling these bots at the high level want to keep your attention so that they can, then sell you stuff through those bots. Not really for me. I kind of had enough of that with Facebook and social media, where I would set up accounts, set up businesses, and then we would promote stuff. So the social media thing, that was interesting. You could make games. So there's a lot of software development that went into making games on social media. There was a lot of money going in there. Freemium games became a thing. So there's games. For me personally, I don't really want to create video games or code games for a couple of reasons. One is the freemium model is parasitic. It gets people to become quite like it induces gambling kind of behaviors in people, especially with non-premium games, which sucks. I know I'm actually working with the government in Queensland to help kind of combat that. But the next one is like, well, I'm working in IoT, which is great. But what next? And I'm stuck. I'm like thinking, I know all the languages, I know all the stuff. I'm working at a high level, really fast, really well with the teams that I'm on. And I kind of think, well, what can you sell to people that they don't already have, right? So that's the thing. It's like, what can I provide to certain people? And I think I kind of wanted to take a step back because I felt like being stuck in the technology itself doesn't allow me to see actually the value that you can create for people outside of that space. So selling or producing things that help people in real ways, it doesn't have to be code. This goes back to if you've got a hammer every problem seems like a nail, right? If all you've got is a hammer. And so I wanted to take a step back and reevaluate maybe a high level. I've done business school, I've done a lot of business stuff, entertainment, and I felt like, yeah, I could possibly get into that again. But one thing which and that's good, like entertainment, in terms of the tech stuff that we were doing, was really interesting. We would like do RFID chips and things. But what about coding, right? You're here to talk about coding, and the stuff that I'm coding is like I've been doing the same thing for maybe 5 years now. Like I'm supporting other engineers, like training them with the skills and basic things that they may use, that basic skills that they can encourage them to grow and build cool stuff and write stable, secure, well-written, readable software. I guess that's a kind of like the Uncle Bob angle. But for some reason, pharmacology, ever since I was 18, 19, 17, around then, pharmacology has been a real interest, real passion. And I thought I've been interested in chemistry on the side and pharmacology. So maybe there's something there. So I'm wondering if I could take my tech skills, learn the language of chemistry, like, formally, learn the language of pharmacology formally, instead of just kind of like having a niche interest in it, and see where that leads. And so, if I want to continue this, I'm going to continue talking about code. And I think I'm going to stay with this, and I'm going to find topics about certain things, and I'm going to try and communicate what I know about these small little topics every so often. So next week I'll do a little bit about refactoring, about magic numbers, just little helping things, that short, maybe 5-minute videos every week. But a lot of my energy, I think, with my clients, I'm going to try and focus on just a little bit of that, and then grow my skill set to be able to try and evaluate maybe a better proposition about what I can provide. What I can of value, and I don't know what that will be yet, but I know that if I follow this interest in learning the language of chemistry and pharmacology, and I know people in the industry, in the medical industry, and I have a fascination for it, then who knows what will happen next? And maybe my software development skills will play into that, and I could write medical software, which is definitely interesting. So I guess this is like just trying to figure out where to pivot and where to go with this channel. And this one will maintain this kind of like snippet help based on the things that I'm teaching my interns and some of my software engineering staff, like that I can help them, and then I can help everyone through this channel. So I'm really excited to just keep this thing going, and then expand my knowledge in different fields, and then maybe come back in a year and see where we are. The video and photography stuff that I'm doing is probably going to take a back seat. We got a kid. But I'm going to also do that series that I've been meaning to do on my personal channel. But that's a quick update on this coding channel. I'll see you next week. We'll talk about refactoring and best practices. So thanks for tuning in this time. I'll see you next week. Bye.